Hey, top of the morning to you. I'm Michael, or as the grandkids call me, Roo. You got that down by now, right? Me too. I heard my name a lot over the holiday weekend. Roo, hey Roo, hey Roo, hey Roo, can we do this? Hey Roo, can we do this? I'm going, yes, you can. And I had a great time with some of the grands, the ones that live close by. A couple of them didn't make it over for the journey because of traveling and other commitments over the holidays. Hope you had a blessed holiday. I was in here on Saturday after the holiday and tried to make it December before it was December. And it was kind of fun. Some of you are going like, oh my gosh, I've lost some days. And I realized, oh, I have several more days before the first. Today, whoa, I got to do an anniversary card. Today is my anniversary. Well, it's not mine by myself. Carol and I have been married. We got married when we were 4. So we've been married 46 years. So that tells you how old I am. I went to the Navy when I was 5, but I lied about my age. Boom, I'll be here all week. Hey, I'm so glad you're on the show. Let me say hello to some of you. I'll have to put my glasses on to see the list because I could blow it up bigger, but then what would happen? I'm going to have to roll these sleeves up right now. I can tell you that. I'm going to have to get them out of the way because, of course, if I got paint on them, you wouldn't know it, right? You wouldn't know that. But let me get these rolled up out of the way, get a few things cleaned off here on the desk, put on my glasses. Let me say good morning to some of you. Thank you for being on Monday morning with me and starting off your Monday like this. Shanlin, thank you for jumping on the show first thing this morning. And Bob from the happy-go-lucky cornfields of Iowa. Lana, thank you for being on the show. Top of the morning to you too. Joy, Donna, Sell, Barton. I hope your project's going well. Keep on keeping on. You got a gift, okay? Ann Wester, thank you for being on the show. Donna Bullman, you guys are always right in there together. Boom, boom, boom. Andy, welcome to the show. Burke from, it is good morning to you on the last day of November. Well, I think maybe if you live, you'll have another one next year. But the one for this year, this is the last day. Married on November the 30th, way back when. What was it? 74, 1974. Yeah, so that makes 46 years. Good grief. And like I said, we were only 4. Good morning, everyone. Karen, Terry Tardy, welcome to you from out in the Oregon land. I just thought of you earlier this morning because I had to add a little bit of turquoise to my pan. I was running a little low there. Elsie, wheat fields, the chilly wheat fields of Kansas. Yeah, those are beautiful, though. Huh? I guess the wheat is all cut out, and they're just a long line out there. I love when you're driving out 70, and you just can say, I can see farther than I can see in western North Carolina. Lori Stanley, Henderson, Handel, Meyer. Thanks for letting me just always do that to your name and appreciated the note. Pat Brooks. And everybody in Roo World, good morning to you too. Deborah Spangler, Annette Henslin, Marion Jones, nice to see you back on the show. Insert comma, let's paint friends. Let's paint friends, insert your own comma. I like that. I wasn't too good at inserting grammar. I had a college professor one time who was also my guidance counselor who said, I think I've told a story. In fact, there's not many stories I haven't told you. Because that's what happens when you're on for 181 days. That's right. And so you just start telling stories. And stories are awesome. Stories are part of art. Stories are art. I wasn't very good at grammar. He said, you know, your grammar is an absolute mess, but I like your ideas for how you come up with creative ideas and stories. Did you come up with this? And I said, yes. He said, you sure? I said, yes. He said, you didn't steal this. I said, why would I steal a story from someone? He said, no, you didn't read this and make it up from somewhere else. I said, no, it just came to me. And he goes, I said, are you saying that I've plagiarized? He said, no, I'm not saying that. I said, well, it sounds like you're saying that. So just back off. And he went, oh, okay. I was a freshman at the University of Tennessee. And he said, but grammatically, you are a wreck, just a wreck. And I said, but there are people who are smarter than me who can help me grammatically get it into shape, but they may not can come up with the story idea. And thus lies the concept of being creative in art. Just think of it differently, okay? That's what we've been doing on the art classes for the last 3 months. And by the way, tomorrow morning is the 1st, December the 1st. That starts the third class of Christmas Roo 857. Those of you who are registered and part of that, throw out a couple ideas. I got a video I got to show you. I'll share it with everybody later, closer to Christmas, but I got a video to show you. Anyway, that was my last day of college. I walked out. He said, you know, college isn't for everyone. I said, thank you. Glad you're my guidance counselor and my English professor, sort of. And so I left. Been raining here too. Karen Edwards, hello. Jim Johnson, Jason, thank you for saying hello. Carolyn Crawford, Pam Patterson, Raylene, wow. Kathleen, Raylene, Tamberly, Heather, Mickey, thank y'all for being here. Dia, thank you for being here. Dia, if I'm not mistaken, you're in Greenville also. Uh, Tracy, happy anniversary. Thank you. How did you know? Oh, I just said it, didn't I? I got a story about that. Let's see here. Jan Campbell, Patricia, Denise Albright, Alice Jordan, Lee Pack is from Orlando, Florida, where you got to get your coat on. It's going to be 50 today. Okay, man. Sabine, thank you for being on the show. Brenda Dow, I misspoke last Saturday when I said I saw a beautiful painting of a window box with pine cones, and I gave that to Denise Albright, I think, who, by the way, in her own right is a good artist. Your art of that painting was very good, and so I misspoke. So I just wanted to correct myself there. That and about 5 other people who said, I think it was Brenda. And also, I don't think it's December 1st yet. I did give away the painting, pretending it was the 1st. So it actually is wrapped up and it'll be leaving here today. It was a big 12 by 12 painting. Was that the one I gave away? No, I think it's a smaller painting. Yes, it was. 12 by 12 was an auction. Smaller one was Christmas Star, the little rooster. Yeah, I remember. Okay, so let me get busy here this morning. So many of you. Thank you, Jessica, and good night. You're just piling on, and I appreciate it. A social distance celebration to you. Yeah. All right, thank you. You know what? I'll tell you, we had this moment last night. We had a serendipity moment last night while Carol and I had finished a bite of dinner, and our grandkids left on Saturday morning, maybe, so we went to church yesterday and had a lunch, a brunch out, came back here and caught up on a few things, and then just were chilling after dinner a little bit. She turned on the television, and it was a replay of the 25th celebration of Les Mis. You know, one day more, another day, another destiny, this never-ending road to Calvary. Oh my gosh. I know you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, it wasn't the play itself. It was all the cast from all the years. This thing opened in Her Majesty's Theatre in 1985 in England. In 1987, I was just leaving the stage as a storyteller, doing a little show I'd written called Off the Wall, and all my instruments, my fiddle, my banjo, my guitar, my hats, all of my storytelling props, my fodder for stories, all the things you use, all the fodder. That's what I call it. Words and pictures are fodder. It's one of the rules. It's one of the rules, fodder for storytelling. I know it is. I'll show it to you. Everything is fodder for a story. Everything can be used. The spoon that I'm actually stirring my tea with this morning is a silver spoon with a rooster on it. There it is right there. And it's not silver plate. No, it was an eBay special that Crayola found for me. Look at that. I love that spoon. Okay, I digress, but it's fodder for a story. And so we were listening to Les Mis because I just come off the stage in 1987. It was September, and a gentleman comes up out of the audience. He says, "Man, I just love tonight's performance." And I said, "Thank you. It was storytelling." And he goes, "No, but it captured my heart." He said, "You have to see Les Mis." And I said, "Yeah, I've been reading about it, but it's not even in New York yet. And honestly, I'm not even going to New York anytime soon. I mean, come on, I live in Western North Carolina, and I'm driving an old van, and so that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen." And he said, "No, you couldn't see it in New York anyway. You need to see it in London." And I said, that's funny, because I don't even have a passport. I haven't been out of the country. And he said, "Would you go if I could work out the details?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "When could you go?" And I said, "I'd go on November the 30th. That's our anniversary." And he says, "Done." About 2 weeks later, I hear from this guy, and he has me then drive from where I lived in Western North Carolina, about 2.5 hours away, over to Charlotte, where I actually live now. And I met with them. I was actually coming to this town to do a little musical piece. And I stayed with them, and when I walked in, across their bar were plane tickets on Swiss Air, hotel vouchers, meal vouchers for dinner before the theater, tickets to Les Mis. the original cast, tickets to Chess, tickets to Phantom of the Opera. And I'm going like, who are you people? Who would do this? And they said, here's what it's going to cost you. Come back, stay with us for the weekend, and tell us all the details of how you love the play. Oh my gosh, can you imagine that? What a story. You can't make this stuff up, people. You can't make it up. Start a little music and let's roll through this. So, I wound up going and we saw it. So last night we saw Colm Wilkinson, the original Jean Valjean, sing, "God, I hear my prayer." Last night he sang that again, and we were watching it and we went, it's November 30th tomorrow. It's the day we left to see this in London. It's been, ready, 35 years. Oh my gosh, is that cool? So we just had one of those little moments, one of those little moments where we went, yeah, this is awesome. This is awesome. So how did I get into telling you that? I don't know, but I did. But you know what? Sometimes make the small events in your life huge. And sometimes make the huge events huge too. Remember to tell those stories to your kids and your grandkids and say, I want you to see this play. I want you to sit with me and listen to the words that were written. It inspired me so that I came back and I read the 900-page volume of the story of Les Mis. And man, I'd never read a book over, well, hey, I said by the university, I'd never read a book over 85 pages to my knowledge, and I plowed through that. And once I read the 900 pages of this volume, it became that I could read any book in the whole wide world. And that opened up my whole world to a different style of reading, too. So, all right, there's the rest of that story. Now, let's just pay something. Man, I just get going on who knows what I'm talking about. Yes, Annette says it. Highly favored. Live like you're highly favored because you are. Let's paint a fun little bee to start with. I'm going to paint three little things today. A bee, a little nativity scene or a little Christmas scene, and then I'm going to paint a rough-roo, what I call a rough-roo, a white chicken in the dark. All right, so here we go. All right, so let's see. I've got my pens out here on my desk. Let me go across to a PIP. There it is, picture in a picture. There's my desk right here this morning. Let me get my big old head out of the way just a little bit. Zip up there in the corner so you can see this. Move it over. All right, I think you're cool there. All right, here we go. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for popping in on the show this morning. Thank you for listening to my stories and tuning in. You know what? Your stories can be just as close. Just make a note. Keep a journal. Write down what you do. Carol can go back, look at the calendar, and tell you when we got off of the airplane in London, and it was cold and rainy, and I had on a long wool coat, and we went on. Oh, man. I'm ready for us to be able to fly it again someday, but then again, I'm not a pilot. All right. Hey, I think I'm just going to do this bee with a pen. Yeah, that's all I'm going to do with a pen right here. No pencil sketch this morning. A big old bee, and I think I'm just going to do a little bee kind of curled up on the flight. So I just woke up and I felt like doing a honeybee this morning. So I don't. I wish I had one here to look at, but I don't. Let's see. I don't even think there's one in my book. Have I done a bee in this book? What the heck? Throw that over there and let's just do a bee. I know what a honeybees look like a little bit. It's got a little bit of an olive-shaped head here. Here it is right here. It's just, and I notice when I'm making this, I'm not drawing this really straight. Did you notice that? I'm just sort of go out here a little bit more, get some little fibers sticking up like that. Let's do a little Celtic music today. There's an eye of the bee. He's a big bee. I told you he's going to be a big bee. And then let's drew some. The wing's going to come out here like this and kind of come back. There's one wing, and maybe the other one's over the back side of that. He just comes in and gets lost in there like that. So now you can see kind of where he's going. Honeybees, you shouldn't waste a whole lot of time. It's not waste. You shouldn't spend a whole lot of time drawing a honeybee. Just draw the daggone bee and quit worrying about it, okay? And that's why sometimes I like sketching with this fountain pens because they just cause me to put stuff everywhere. There's a big old pile of pollen right there on his leg. There's another leg that sticks out on this side. There's maybe one that's dropped down. Oh my gosh, look at this. He's going to have a little bit of a smile on his face, and I don't know if bees really have faces, but, and then there's a crooked antenna that kind of comes out and goes around like this. That's from flying too fast into difficult frozen flowers in the wintertime. You know, bees sort of quit their moving around after about 55 degrees. That's not completely all true, but they like to come out in the sun a little bit. Their body slows down. They're not necessarily wintertime creatures. You got to feed them. Take care of your bees in the winter if you haven't. Hey, care for the bees, people. They're part of our life structure here. They pollinate food. They put the honey in your tea. It takes a lot of bees to make a tablespoon of honey. All right. So there we go. There's a little bit of seeing what you're seeing there. Let me move this on top right here. Morning to everyone. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab some paint here and a big brush. I like a big brush. I'm going to use a little water first. Watercolor. Hey, I don't always do this, but I talk like I do most of the time. Just roll some in, get a little bit of gray up here in the wings. Look at that. And maybe a little bit of orange, yellow with a touch of brown in it. Can you see my pad? I think you can see that over here. And I'm mixing. Yeah, got a lot of pins in the way. I could change this around, but no. Just look at it this way. It's a little messier that way, and I kind of like it. There's a little, that's a cool color for a bee right there. A little yellow here. I'm just mixing on the paper, right? Don't mix on the palette. You can if you want to, but I tend to mix right here on the painting itself. It just makes it loose. It makes it a little more wobbly. It makes it look hand-done, original. Sometimes, what's that old Garrison Keillor line from way back when? People don't want things too slick anymore. They just don't care for slick. And I'm saying like, well, I'm safe because no one has ever accused my work of being slick. I promise you that. Hey, this is a cool looking little bee. He's a little more black right in there. I'm just taking whatever I had left in the brush. There's a dot of water. There's a little spot of water. Can you see that? It's actually, it's just like, it's a 32nd inch high right there. It's just popped up. I'm going to leave it there because I'm going to drop a little blue paint in there in just a second. I almost dipped that in my tea. Rats. Put my tea over here, but I don't want it to shadow the painting. All right. A little more yellow down here. A little more black in the back. Maybe some Payne's gray in here. I don't know who Mr. Payne was, but I like his color. I can come in with this pen now, and I can remember I use my pen sometimes as a brush, but I can also use it just for a little bit of leg detail because not as much as flies, but bees do have this little bit of some little follicles of hair running down on the. There's this little bee bottom right there. You're wondering where it is. There it is, right there. I knew you were wondering. I didn't see it in the comments, but it's going to happen. It's Monday and it's early. That would be a she-bee, female worker. Yes, of course, that would be it. The females are the, well, actually, the female is the queen. The worker bee is a neuter bee. Better read your book. My dad was a beekeeper, and then the drone bee is, of course, the bee who fertilizes the queen, and then she stings him, kills him, drags him out to the hive, and throws him out in the yard. It's not a funny story. But when I was a kid, I was going like, dang, that's a rough job. So the bee actually is a neutered bee, and some of you will argue with me on this, but it'll be fun. We'll get into a good old bee argument. Man, I had honey all over my place, all over my hands, all over myself. I've had bees from here down to my knees, just covered when a bee tree split the opposite way, and Dad dropped a frame of honey, and it just went all over me, and all the bees covered me. And he said, "Sit still, son." I'm going like, "Sit still." He goes, "Don't get your dander up because the bees can smell it." I'm going like, "Yeah, you know what's going to happen here." And he goes, "Yeah, nothing, just chill." Man, I'd go to school and I'd tell my teachers these stories. Yeah, yesterday I was covered up with honeybees, and they would go, they do what my son did when he would go to school. Teachers would send notes home and say, we need to talk. Grant's making up all kinds of stories in school. He's telling people that his father dropped a piano from a crane and blew it up on impact. And so I'd call the teacher and I'd say, yeah, that's true. She'd go, oh, well, he said you were in a movie and he was on the set this weekend or Monday and couldn't come to school. And yeah, I thought it'd be a great education to take him on a set of a film. And teachers would go, who are you people? And I go, we are highly favored people who live on the edge. All right, so there's a little bee this morning, just kind of flying around out there. But you think, maybe easy for me to say, right? You think I'm going to change this into a Christmas painting, but I think I've already figured it out. Look at this. Bet you didn't think of this. See, I didn't either until just now. This is what happens sometimes when you just kind of just let your imagination run for you and you use everything as a story and you start thinking Christmas fodder. So I'm thinking, okay, a little red Christmas bulb here. There it is, just a little bit of red in there, just jumping around, leaving some holidays. Notice there's some holidays in the bee. There's some white spaces in there that I've left. Hey, look, this is not the greatest bee in the world. I'm going to go back and do some detail. But he's the point is, I'm telling a story. Do you understand how I use my art? Okay? So in a second, I'm going to go back and I'm going to just take my little Pentel pen. I've got one here that's a 7 somewhere. They tend to write a little better, the 7s over the 5, for just little on top of wet paint. I hear some comments coming in, and I'm not looking right now, so forgive me if you're asking me a question and I'm not getting there. Had some people say, hey, you could make those all in caps. I could, but then I'd be looking up and I'd forget to paint. Watching while at work, but Rue is muted. Here, let's get Kim Sheets in trouble. Can we do that while she's watching at work? Here, watch this. Hi, Kim. Hey, I am working. Wait a minute. And then let me tell you something about storytelling. Let me tell you what I used to tell my team of young storytellers when I was writing some children's ministry stuff. And I was saying, if y'all will mentor to me in technology, which, hey, many years later, I'm still working in technology some, and I'll mentor to you in storytelling because it's been around forever and it's going to continue forever. I would tell them that the difference between a good story and a bad story is that when you get to the end and you realize I've built everybody along for this story and I really don't have a good ending for it and you don't know what you're going to do, then you just simply reach in your purse or your wallet and you say, and you bring out a $20 bill and you go, and then I found $20. And that'll take a bad story into a good story just like that. So there you go. All right. That'll change a good story. Everything is fodder for stories. Okay. All right. So let me jump out of this painting here. I'll let it dry some, but I think this is going to be beginning to look like Christmas. See there? I did it. I took it right into a Christmas painting. All right, there you go. Fun little bee with, helping decorate the Christmas tree. I think some of you are doing that kind of stuff already. You're being creative about Christmas, and you're doing some fun things. Let me show you a little painting that I do from time to time at Christmas that makes me smile, and it might make you smile. I painted that, by the way, on, I always want to tell you what I'm painting on. These are those little Strathmore artist tiles, pretty inexpensive. Buy them on sale at a big box store. I keep a lot of paper around that's not my most expensive, best paper to paint on. I love it. But sometimes I don't want to cut that paper, and I'll just use a tile like this. It's 140 pound. It's Strathmore. It's they make Canson is made by that same company. No, it's not. Canson is. Yeah, I think it is. Whoops! I threw it in the wrong place. Now I'll have to go get it if I need it again. This is Fluid watercolor paper. Fluid makes another paper called Fluid 100, and Fluid 100 is cotton. This is their lesser brand. But still really, really good paper. 140 pound. Love this paper. Without a pencil sketch, let me just do a little Christmas scene here. And I think what I want to do is I'm going to start with the hen first. I'm going to draw a hen, and here she is. She has a different wattle. It's a low wattle and a different comb, a much lower comb. You would know that, you chicken people. And there she is. She's got a nice round body here. She's a brood hen, got a little eye right there, and she's sort of laid back. She's looking down. She's got her legs are, posture is immense. There it is. There she is right there. Now I'm going to establish my ground line here, just kind of going in here, and I'll establish that ground line with a flare, just maybe an ultrafine flare, just kind of put a little ground line in here like this. I think you can see all that I'm doing. Is that music too loud? I'm listening to a little bit of Celtic Christmas music. That's kind of nice. It's beginning to look a lot like beginning to look. All right, so now we know that we need some peeps here because there's a conversation going on, right? This is a story painting. So there's the hen. We set her in the story. So I need a couple peeps in there. So I got it. Let's see. Christmas Day. There's a 5 right there. All right, there's a little tree limb. You can see that coming in, can't you? Yep. There's a tree limb. Got to put a little thickness to this branch right here. Okay, so we got... there's a little peep up there. Hanging by a little rope that's coming down here that the hen is standing on. Okay, you got that? All right. I've done a painting like this before. There we go. Put that little... and then let's see. We need these little peeps right here, and they're going to be... Is it true that 3 ships come sailing in was an old Christmas carol written about the Columbus ships? Or was it 3 Campbells who carried the wise man? You know, they were the ships of the desert, right? I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning. I believe it was the wise man. That's a pretty cool story, huh? I didn't make that up. I think you ought to look it up somewhere. I may have. I don't think I did. But. Okay, so there's your little Christmas scene right there. There it is. There it is. Just kind of throw it together. Let's see if we can paint this really quickly here. Need a brush. This is going to be a little French blue hen. Water first on her, just like so. Going to let the pen just bleed a little bit as it comes in. Just grab a little bit of this ultramarine blue and let it just fold in wherever the water went. There it is right there. Nice. You don't have to change brushes all the time. If your brush is a good brush, you can just kind of come in and use the same brush. This is actually a number 1 bamboo. There it is right there. Bing, go, done. Maybe clean out your brushes before you put them back in. I'm going to say that over and over and over. That's probably what they're going to put on my tombstone. Clean out your brushes before you dip them back into paint. If you don't, you're going to be painting with Neil Mallory Ugly Brown. Neil is my friend in Knoxville, Tennessee. We went to the same high school together. His name's on the wall over here, along with a few other friends. Scott's on there and Cole and some people. That's my list to think about daily, and just pray for those friends. They're struggling right now. Neil's going through a chemo treatment. Scott is. It's an old Christmas limb here. It's the dead of winter. Little stories shouldn't take too long to do, especially if you're doing them with your grandkids and you want to just tell the Christmas story. If you want to tell any story, you can just make them happen as you go. I'm gonna stay with this same paintbrush just to prove to you that I can do it. Everybody okay out there? Molly, first time catching a live. This is absolutely phenomenal. I can't draw a chicken to save my life. Molly, you don't have to. Is that good news? In fact, I'd be just fine if you never drew chickens. I'll be happy to draw them. But what I want you to do is draw something. And if you don't tell me you can't draw a stick figure, because you don't have to draw stick figures to paint on this show anyway. You don't have to draw anything. You can just come along and ride any morning you want to. Most mornings I'm on, but glad you're on the show. I just saw that. But I'm glad you're here. Molly Artman. Molly, you got the greatest name. Come on. Your name is Artman? Come on. That's highly favored. Molly Artman. Are you kidding me? Wow. I know people who would change their name to be Molly Artman. Well, I don't know if they would change their name to Molly. I know some men who would prefer to be Bill Artman or, something like that. But you get my idea, right? You know where I'm headed with this thing. All right, so. Okay, you can see where this is going. Can you see it already? I'm just, it's the bottom of the hour here, and I'm going through. I've been into this for about 6 minutes or so. 6.5 minutes into this little Christmas story. Now I'm going back in with just a little detail here. Look, I'm just putting some darker on the bottom end of the roosters. Remember, just think where my light's coming from. So I want a little bit of green in here because all trees, even in the winter, hold a little bit of their color. So I'm just going to go back. It's about the 4th time I've just about put my brush back in my teacup. Keep moving it around. And you know what? I'm going to brag on it. I like my diner mugs. I have about 20, I think I have 20 of them left for Christmas if you're interested in giving a diner mug. You can find them at Roodoodles.com. Diner mugs, they weigh about 1.5 pounds a piece. A little expensive to ship them, but they'll be coming to you. They're fun. All right, so this is a little wire hanging down here, and you see it's tied in a bow, and I'm going to make it a little thicker so it looks like a rope. See, I'm just dragging it down with a pen, dragging it right through down here, and then it's on the ground. And there it is. It's going over right here. Love to go in. And now, this is where I don't do a lot of details, but really sometimes I do more than people think. They go, oh, you're just a loose, abstract illustrative artist. And I go, yeah, but sometimes I'll just do a little detail more than you think. There's some little twist in there. There's some rough places. There's some little twigs. Maybe there's a leaf that's still hanging from this tree that the wind hasn't blown off, like my river birch in the front yard. You ever notice that sometimes I have run-on sentences? Have y'all noticed that? You know, I'll tell you what you can't do. You can't do a show like this if you're worried about being foolish or silly, because you just got to be sometimes to get it done. Maybe a little brown on the leaf, maybe a little bit of yellow on the leaf. I like this. I like some, okay. Did you note that that's a halo? Did you see that now? Did you see it coming? Did you notice that these two peeps here are dressed up like sheep with little black ears? Mm-hmm. Now you're getting it, right? You remember those little nativities from those little churches and family ministry centers where they dressed all the children up as nativity characters, and you came not because you were so in love with a Christmas story. You came because you dressed your child as a sheep. You came because your child was wearing a towel as a wise man. 3 ships come sailing in. You came because your child got to be the angel. Say, fear not. I love it. Kids are good storytellers. We just have to let them tell the story. Sometimes we get our words in the way. Not a whole lot of color in this, but doesn't need to be. This is it right here. This is the story. The story is, you know what the caption's going to be? But we were sheep last year. Or why does she get to be the angel? Or come on, it was my turn. Or something. You know, your part never is good enough. You know, I wanted to be the baby. Well, that was 3 years ago when you were the baby. Yeah, but, you know, but who wants to be a sheep? So there they are, dressed up little sheep. We took cotton balls and glued them on to, you know, cut the ears out of cardboard. And look, they don't have to look like, they just look like little sheep, okay? All right. Of course, your drink will stay warm a long time. Thank you for that little plug there. Yes, they will, because these things are like, that's a full 1/4 inch thick. I love it. And they are actually M-ware, which is one of my favorite mugs. It's heavy. Haven't milked a goat in it yet, but then I don't have a goat. We had one, but never mind. My neighbor had him, actually. I didn't have him. All right, so there you go. There's I'm going to actually come in here and put a little bit of green grass on this. This is what Terry Tardy likes to do. She likes to add a little green grass and then a little brown and make the earth. And you know what, Terry, it got me thinking about that, because a couple times you said comments about the earth, or I like the ground here. It's because you're a potter. Where else do your art form come from? It comes out of the earth. You can't be more connected to the ground than that. I love it. I love it. It's a humble beginning. Being a potter, being a carpenter, being an artificer. That's a good word. An artificer. Ooh. A tecton. One who works with stones. All right, there we go. There's my little painting for today. I'm going to sign this rascal right here. Roodoodles. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to write the caption right in the ground right there. I don't want to write it right now because it'll sort of get away from me. And so I'm just going to let that dry. Look, this is an easy pad. Take a look. Easy pad. Easy block. Okay. So I'll grab a little palette knife. If you don't have one, you probably have a fingernail file. Don't get them mixed up. You can use your fingernail file for that. Don't use your palette knife for your fingers. Just don't. Have some etiquette. But easy blocks are only glued on top edge and bottom edge. Okay? Pads aren't glued at all, or watercolor books. They're just open. this is glued. This is a block, and it's glued all the way around. Glue, 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 except for one little corner right there, and that's where you would insert the palette knife to cut it off. In this case, I can slide my palette knife underneath and slide it under like so, turn it around, this side's open, slide it here, slide the glue off like that. And I will tell you this, if you use flame paper or fluid paper, if you use fluid, or Flame 100 or fluid, they do some serious glue. As a matter of fact, I called them about 3 years ago. We had a good conversation. I had painted 2 originals on 2 different blocks, and when I went to cut them off, the glue had adhered to the top edge of the paper, and I ripped both originals. And so I said, look, I'm going to paint them over, but have you checked this pads that I got? And so I sent them a video of me trying to take the glue loose, and like 3 days later, they shipped me new pads, and Global did, and said, we're so sorry. We had a bad batch of glue, and we just are finding it out. So people like that, when you don't fuss at them, when you treat them like real people, and you call back and you say, hey, I'm trying to do this, and you guys aren't helping me do it very well. Can you give me a hand? Most of the time, they will. Okay? So let me come in and clean up a few details here, put a few little sprouts and feathers, and wings, not here, but a few little curly cues of fur. So there's your Christmas painting for the day. I thought I got to be the angel. Why do we have to be the sheep? Nobody wanted to be sheep, because it's years later when your kids who were sheep are at their wedding and you show those slides during the reception and they go, you were a sheep during the nativity somewhere. Hey, look, you're telling a great story, so tell it with humor sometime. It's perfectly fine. All right, so I'm going to write the caption on that later, but I'm going to do one more painting for you. I might do 2 paintings. We'll see. Here's something fun I thought I would do for you this morning. This is everybody doing okay here? Maybe you need a Roo sippy cup so you don't have to put your brush in it. Now, Linda, there is a wonderful idea. I'll maybe get something to fit over the top of this. Like a bottle for a lamb, feed a baby lamb. All right. Thanks, Pat, for loving your diner mug. Yes, these are diner mugs. Peep on a rope. I love it. We are sheep. See there, Pat, you were, are you on every morning? No, I'm not, Barbara, but thank you for asking. Right now I'm on Monday, Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, Saturdays, but I'll change that up probably the first of the year. I'm going to find some days that work really well for people. I might go back and once a month I'm going to paint an evening also. I think I'll do an evening time to paint. I have other work to do, so I can't be on every day. Honestly, I paint every day, and I hope you do too. I do. We call this Roo 857, and in fact, I answered this I think for someone yesterday, Jim probably, who says, "What is 857?" And you think, man, he's really thought this through. What is 857? Well, it's just 3 minutes till 9. That's what it is. Okay, that's what 857 is. It's also more memorable than, oh, he's on at 9. Oh, that's 9. No, it's 857. Okay, so at 857, when my computer clicks to 857, if the internet is working, if the modem has not gone down, ding, I come on live. Mondays for sure. Tuesdays, I teach a private class. Those for people who registered. Wednesdays, sometimes I'll slide on and do a little painting. Thursday, I have another class. And then Saturday, I'll paint. And then I need Sunday to just get my brains on for what I'm going to do. Like the rest of the day, I'm editing video again. And I have a ton of videos to do for clients. That is my real business. I'm a marketing guy. I create stories, and that's hard to believe, isn't it? I create stories. So 857. So when I paint my Christmas Roos 857, I like to start at 857. I also think if you add all these up, you get 20. And 20 is a great 20 minutes with a cup of tea and a sketch pad is a great time for you to learn how to do loose, quick storytelling art. And that's be a good start if you get hooked or not. And then don't go out and spend all your money on all these elaborate supplies until you just use what you have, okay? Just start simple, start simple, start simple. Art is a little bit like music. In fact, that's one of my rules. I started talking about Les Mis this morning and how awesome that is. But here's, let me see, I think I got a rule here. Let me see if it's, there it is. Painting is like music. Pat did this. Pat's art is going to show up in our art book. And so Pat Brooks is a calligraphist, a cartoonist, an illustrator, has an amazing amount of art that rolls through her head, her heart, her arm. It just does. And so she and I partnered on a book. And so I've written the crazy rules, and they're called Rouge Rules, but really it's called Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle. So every day for 20 minutes, if I'm not noodling, did you see me a minute ago? I was tapping my brush like this. I was going like, and I know it's obnoxious in the microphone, but what am I going to do? What's this painting going to be? Oh, and I went, oh, I did one like this once before where someone was complaining to someone about the part that they did or did not have. And so that comes to mind. So that's my noodle. And then I'm going to doodle. I'm going to say, okay, let's draw a little hen. And then I'm going to fiddle with it. And I'm going to piddle with it until I say it's finished. Some of us don't know when to finish our paintings. No, wait. Some of you don't know when to finish your paintings. I only have an hour. I'm finished. I'm done. And could I come back and look at it later and go, oh, I wish I'd have done this. Well, then I'll do another one. Or I wish I'd have added this. I'll do another one. Oh, that's what it changed. Then I'll do another one. That's why you can never be finished. But for that one, just finish. Put the brush down, put the pen down, and walk away from the easel, which is one of our rules also. So painting is like music. No voice, no harmony, no hook. No one will stand for it. If you're watching a musician sing and they just don't have the voice, and you're going like, I can't listen to that anymore. If the song doesn't have great harmony, if it doesn't go together, if it mismatches, our ear is given to us by God, and we hear things. Some of you may be tone deaf, but the majority of the time you can tell a bell does not ring flat. A bell rings with tone. Ding. It rings out because of vibrations, because of nature, and because of how the world works. That's just rhythm in our world. It was created that way. So without voice, without harmony, without a hook, something that makes you go, that rhythm is what made that song go. I thought saw three ships come sailing again. That's the hook. That's the hook of the song where you go, I want to hear that again. I want to hear that again. So if your painting doesn't have some sort of a rhythm and a harmony to work together and a hook and connect to you, no one will ever stand for it. You know, there's an old joke that says, I wrote a national anthem once and no one would stand for it. It's kind of sad today that people don't stand for our national anthem. Then is it the wrong anthem? Are we missing the words? Or have we missed what we really know to be true? I wax poetically for a moment there. 8:57, take 20 minutes and noodle, doodle, fiddle, piddle. Mess with it until you get it. Take 20 minutes. 20 minutes a day for a month. 20 minutes a day for 20 days, but 20 minutes a day for 60 days, 3 months. Your art will change. And to prove it, some of you go back and look at your post you did when we were painting for the first 100 days, and now look at it. I can see the difference. I'll see you people will outpaint me in the next few days. All that's keeping you from doing your own show is probably some crazy cameras and equipment. You can do this. I'm telling you, you're good at it. Okay? All right, here we go. I got a few minutes. Let me paint something. This sometimes I paint with just what I have. That's another one of the rules. Don't go out and buy a lot of stuff until you just start painting and see if you fall in love with it, or until you just start sketching and see if you fall in love with that too. This is a flare pen, And this is one of the early flares. This is before 2010, okay? The reason I know is because the barrel of this pen has these little ridges on it. After 2010, after 2012, I think, they changed them to a slick barrel. And they changed colors a little bit, but they're still pretty good pens. But this is just a a Paper Mate flare pen, okay? They used to cost 59 cents each, and now I think they cost like $19 for a pack. I'm going like, what? Anyway, so here's what you can do with just a pen. Let's say this is all I have this morning, and maybe a little bit of watercolor, all right? And I mean a little bit of watercolor. What if I just had my Altoid box? There it is right there. There it is. Same kind of, that's it. And I'm traveling around. I got this in my briefcase. And I go, ooh, there's an old flare pen. I love it. All right, so what I might do then is I might just noodle a little bit and think, let's see. Oh, that'd be a great head right there. See that? I just did? That'd be great. If I could do that again, I'll be so happy. Okay, so, and I'm gonna have this rooster looking back this way. I'm gonna have him coming over here like this. So I'm doodling on a scratch piece of paper that is just gonna become, go out in the recycle today. All right, so here we go. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna do that. There's this bill, there's this. I'm gonna start here and just go up and come back in. Maybe there's a little bit more of this here, and then starting up in here. Let's see, is that how I want to do that? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to come down with the body like this, and then I'm going to come over here. All right, so this will be a fun little route. I want to show you here something. Then I'm doing his legs, and then he's looking out this way. Maybe this leg is kicked back a little bit, so you can see that he's walking off this way. He's walking off this way, but he's looking back over his shoulder. Okay, so there's my little rough roo. Now watch this. This will be an interesting thing. I'm just done this in flare pen. You're thinking, okay, so now he's just going to paint this. All right, so watch what I do. There's several ways to do negative painting. This is one way. And I don't mean negative as like, I don't like that painting. I mean negative as is finding the object after you've changed it a little bit. And I'm crisscrossing these a little bit, which is something that some artists don't do. But then again, I'm not some artist. I just have my own style. And I'm not ashamed of it. I kind of like to have fun with it. And so I'll push people a little bit sometimes on what they're doing. Give this a little bit of a crosshatch. Maybe the clouds are coming in right there. So we'll just go in here, something like this. Okay, so that's it. So all I'm doing now is I could be on the phone doing this. So I'm doodling. I'm just kind of talking around. Friends are saying, hey, what about this? What about that? And I go, don't worry about that. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to actually drop a little more of this right in here. Maybe down here like this. Okay, so watch. I'm gonna get a clean brush, some clean water. Well, it was clean when I started the show this morning. I promise you. Ball mason jar. There it is, right there. And I'm just gonna come in and I'm just gonna start washing this flare in. Look, that's the flare pen. There's no paint that I've added in here yet. No paint as in pigment. There's plenty of pigment in the flare pen. We just forget to use it sometimes. So now I'm just dropping water in here like this. Now I'll be a little careful when I come around here, but even if I run into the edge of that flare, it's just going to rough the edge out a little bit and it's not going to mess this up. Okay. Now why did I use extra down here? Because I wanted a little more of the dark down here. I wanted a little more of the pigment on this side, because I wanted it to be darker, closer to the ground, and there'll be a little more light still up in the sky. Okay. If I wanted a little less, I could come in and just take this and take some of the water out. Was that cool? Okay. Hey, I didn't cross my lines like this. I didn't go like this. I just went like this. One. I went one way. Why? I don't have any idea. But I like the way it shades better than doing it that. There's the other way to do it back and forth with a pencil if you're shading an area. But sometimes if I'm just filling an area in with the pen, I just like to sketch it off going in the other direction. Now what I might do right now is go in here and get a little bit of, all right, can you see this? Let me get back over here. There we go. Look, is that cool? It's okay that these lines are breaking apart right here, and see where the lines are kind of crossed in? It gives me a little rough looking sky look. It's okay that this is flared out a little bit behind him. Maybe I need to come in and just focus on the ground here just a little bit more, drag some of this down. If I wanted to, I could go get a little bit of this black right here and just drop it right in there. I can steal color. All right. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of this Harbor Gray or French Gray, and I'm going to put it right over there in the corner of this pan. I'm just barely taking a damp brush, and then I'm going to grab some brown here, just a little bit of brown, and I'm going to drop it in there. And I'm just making a little bit of a tan. There's a little bit of a tan. Look, I'm just going to drop some of that tan in just like that. And then I'm going to just take my finger and rub it through that, like so. Now I'm just going to take a touch of, wait, I want to take a clean brush, just a damp brush, and I want to come right up in there. Clean that up just a little bit. There we go. Get that a little sharper. See? A little detail. Now I'm going to come and get a little bit of red, just a tad. And it's okay if it runs into the gray. It's kind of a Payne's gray. It's kind of a blue gray. If you're seeing it, yeah, you're seeing the same color I am. Pretty close, I think. And then I'm going to put a little bit of this in his comb up here. Not much. I'm not trying to create this bold against. It's dark night, and so these colors are going to be a little duller too. Get a damp brush, go into my gamboge. Wish it had two E's. I'd like to call it gamboge. I still do sometimes. Okay, and then maybe just a little bit of an orange look down here on the legs. Touch of red, yellow. There you go. There's your little rooster walking at dusk. So that gives you a little idea of how you can just do a rough roo by doodling with almost no tools. Take a look. So if you're going to get started in watercolor, and if you're thinking about it, I'm going to go back and do some of the original things I did in the first 100 days for people and supplies and brushes and ideas. And we're going to do that again, probably starting in January. We're also going to talk to some of you about having a class about you've done so well. What do you do with your art now? Where's the next step for you? Do you want to share it more? How do you go about doing that? You're doing it already. You're riding on a couple shows here, which are great. You're posting it on this page, which is great. You're posting it on Roo's Crew, which is phenomenal. You guys have created your own post. And tastes like eraser dust. Anyway, so could I come in and do some more work on this? Maybe cross-hatch him a little bit, put in some toenails. Yeah, but he's in the dusk, and so I'm not going to make him too detailed. But maybe there's a way to put in a couple more just little flares down here. No pun intended on that. Little flare things. I think I want just a little touch more red right here in the last minute of the show. Just to add right there just a little bit. So I'm going to come back and do some January just to get started in watercolor again, and then break out into a couple things that are completely different. Let's paint something really big, and let's paint it with watercolor. I'm going to sign this. Live with Flair. Just did a little black splash in there. Kind of go, there's a great little Roo. It's 5x7. This, by the way, is painted on some pretty serious paper. It's called Fabriano Artistico Aquarello. They didn't know really what to call it. They didn't quit. It's 100% rag cotton. And by the way, your Flair pen will respond differently on rag cotton than it will on just regular paper, okay? If you put this on a regular paper and you do those little lines like this, or even like this, and you come in, you're going to get some bleed, but you're not going to get the wash that you were expecting, and you're not going to lose the line. The reason is because it gets absorbed so fast. On cotton paper, it holds the pigment in there before it dries, and so that's why you can wash it out a little easier. Did you catch that? Okay. Those are stuff that we'll talk about in the class when we have different classes. Hey, tomorrow I will be on Christmas Rue 857 for those of you who are registered for that class. I'm going to look forward to being with you again as we take on the third class and we talk about the real Christmas story. Expect a video in the morning. And then thank you for joining me. The Angel Peep. Let's put that on right here. But we were the sheep last year. Hey, blessings to you. There's the paintings from this morning. There's the Christmas painting. There's this one. And there's a bee that was decorating a tree, beginning to look a lot like Christmas. I'll probably post these two. I'm not going to post the bee. I would redo him because he was just a quick little thing I had in my mind. Just woke up thinking I should paint a bee today, and I did. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off. Take a look. What would happen here is a lot of water in here, so paper tends to bow when it has a lot of water. But in this case, it's drying out. I slide in the spot, go around with my knife all the way around. Remember, this is a block, and there it is. Boom. There's the painting that comes up clean. Close that back, put it in my paper stock over here, and get the two paintings from this morning that I'll post online if anybody's interested in them. And you can go to Roodoodles.com if you're interested in a mug or a book. The books are so fun. Thank you. I've got some to actually do today in the way of signing them. I'll go and so, hey, Roo, what's a wheelbarrow? That's what it's called. It's a book about a rooster that takes all his peeps on a field trip around the farm, and it's a fun story for you to read to the kids, the grandkids, or have your kids read to their kids. Okay? Aha. So, blessings to you all. Thanks for being a part. I am blessed that you would ride with Rue here a little bit live this morning. It's 10 o'clock. I am out of here like a herd of chickens.